Hey guys, it's category 3 and I am really excited for this package video today. I have just been waiting and looking and then getting stressed out, and this is a new camera. I just want to say this right up front. I currently hate the camera I am using. If you are in the market for a camera, I'm just gonna tell you right now, stay clear of the Canon SX series. I was tied in with this ultra zoom camera, which, I mean, to be fair, if you want a camera that zooms, this thing is probably your go-to. Look how clear we can get that. If you want an ultra zoom camera, fine, but there's some trade-offs. I know I just need to open this, but I need to take a moment to just vent about how crappy this camera is. You might notice this is recording in 60 FPS. If you watch any of those like super slow motion videos, you might notice it's a lot darker. That's because it takes more light to pump out more frames. The problem with this camera is the sensor for that. Here's where the biggest problem comes in. It doesn't detect how much light is physically entering the lens. It looks for dark color. So if you are trying to take a video and it's a close-up shot of, say, a black wolf webcam, it doesn't matter if it is bright and sunny and there is tons of light, it will look at that webcams and say, there is too much black here, we're gonna drop it down to 30 FPS, or maybe even worse, go down to 24. You'd have no say in it. You can't force it to record in 60 FPS. It's gonna do adaptive in whatever it thinks is right. On top of that, this has a manual focus mode. So there's a scene I want it to be blurry because I want the character walking up, I want their foot to slowly come into focus. So I set the manual focus and then I started doing the pictures. After I took 5 pictures, I noticed it was focused all the way on the background and not on the foreground like I wanted. The camera does not think you know best, and that manual focus doesn't mean completely manual. Basically, it allows itself to correct the focus a little bit, but if you lock the focus in a certain position, this means it'll be like, okay, we autofocus it to 12. Well, this means now it's locked at 12. We can autofocus it to another 2, so we're gonna autofocus it to 14. And it goes like that even though you're in manual. And it drives me nuts because every single photo with this camera has a dumb, soft focus, and I hate it. The focus of this camera is just garbage. You see this in like so many videos of mine. It's driven me nuts. I'll have a webcam like this, and it focuses on the background. I've had times where I'm doing like close-up scenes like this, and you see how this is? This is blurry. What's it focusing on? The background. What do you think I want it to focus on? Definitely not the background. The other biggest problem that I've been having, and what really pushed me over the edge to get this new camera, is that the lens shutter is absolute garbage. Basically, the shutter is in several little flaps, so they want it to look cool, but it has no structural or integrity. The shutter has been pushed on and scratched the lens, and I even had an issue at one point where like the oil from the shutter started getting on the lens. There is one thing I will say I like about this, and it's the creative shot. There's a setting on here where it'll take photos in rapid succession with a whole bunch of different filters. I have lots of them on my DeviantArt if you want to see. I just think that's cool, and to be honest, I'm probably still going to use that feature with this camera. Okay, I've had my rant, and I said one good thing about this camera. So now, it is time for the new one. Oh, that is tiny. This huge box for this? Ah, here it is. I was able to save over $100 by getting an open box. So, the Sony ZV-1. Oh, there it is. Got the USB Type A to micro USB. Over here we have the battery, and over here this is like a wind filter. Here is the camera. Yeah. Wait, does it not have a wrist strap? Wow, I knew Sony was like bare bones on accessories, but I thought it came with a wrist strap. Either way, this little piece of plastic slides off right here, and then you slide things like this in, and that will help block out wind from the microphone. These are actually called dead cats, but I don't like that name for obvious reasons, so I'm gonna give this a new name. I'm gonna call it a tribble. And the screen flips out. Got some fingerprints on it. This needs a little bit of cleaning up, but I'm actually just gonna set this over here for right now, despite the fact that I'm really excited for that, because I want to get into some of this other stuff first. This is really simple. It's, I was like, wait a minute, this isn't the battery. They made a laminate case for a screen protector. And then we have some extra batteries. One of my biggest regrets, especially with this one, I never bought a second battery for it. And my reason was, I hated this camera within days of getting it, and I was like, I'm not gonna spend extra money on something that I don't like, despite the fact that I'm going to be using it for years on end still. And that's where problems ran into. Because here's the thing, batteries suck. The thing is, manufacturer batteries are stupid expensive. It is legitimately like 40 bucks to get another Canon brand battery or another Sony brand battery. So I got an off-brand, $20 for 3 off-brand ones, and they also come with their own charger. Next thing on the list, while I would have liked to just not get this, it was kind of a necessity. I had to get a new memory card. The reason is this camera does 4K. And you need specialty memory cards that can keep up with 4K video. And now these two are kind of the same thing, but they put them in different envelopes because I guess they came from different facilities. So this was something extra. I technically didn't need to get this, but as I explained, with having issues with the shutter rubbing against the camera, I figured it was worth the extra money to get a lens adapter set. These two things total were less than $15, and I think that extra $15 is definitely worth it to give some extra protection to the lens. I am going to apply the screen protector and get this on and charge up the batteries. So yeah, getting ready to charge these batteries. See what I mean about the focus and the 30 FPS now? I just realized this charger only comes with a cable for micro USB, but it also has a Type-C connector. I am so surprised to see them supporting Type-C. You don't see that a lot. I'm sorry, I'm a tech nerd. This dinky little charger that came with these $20 batteries supports Type-C more than a camera that retails for $700. Something about that, it just is so funny to me. Battery is also kind of holographic. Oh my god. The L is real. Also, I am really disappointed it doesn't come with a wrist strap. At the same time, I've got a lot of old cameras sitting around. This was 20 bucks, you know? Got this at clearance at Walmart. It's an underwater camera. You know, I'll probably need it again at some point, but it only does 720p, and when's the last time I've actually used it? The wrist strap can be on a permanent loan to the Sony. Some people were complaining about the wrist strap. Oh, it's not adjustable or whatever. It's like, oh, so it doesn't tighten around your wrist. And I want to show you guys a little hack. You remember my quarantine crafts video where I told you those little rubber bands were good for a lot of purposes? I make my own adjustable wrist straps, and yes, you have to replace them every once in a while, but they slide up and down just fine. You don't need anything fancy. People complain about that, made me think it actually came with a wrist strap. I mean, maybe it did at some point, and because this is open box, the person just took it out, but you know, it's not worth an extra $100 just for a wrist strap. Honestly, do you know how nice it is to have a camera when you turn it on? It has the automatic date set for 2020. Okay, this menu is full of so much stuff. Oh yeah, I can set which zone I want the focus area to be. This also has an ND filter. I'm trying to remember what ND filters are, but I know they have something to do with like how good something looks when shooting in snow. Ah, soft skin effect. Off, that's a skin smoothing. And obviously I'm doing stuffed animals. I don't need that. Steady shot right now set to active. I'm gonna see how standard looks. Oh, I can manage settings. I can even set what the files are going to be named. No, I'm never gonna use this, but no way. Oh my god. I can set what I want in the quick menu so I know exactly where to... Oh my god! Holy cow, I can set up my own menu! I've never installed one of these before, so this is kind of nerve-wracking. And I got it dead center. And then there's the screen protector. So that is all of the protective gear on this camera. I know all my light is gone, but I just wanted to point this out real quick before we actually do a camera test. But this screen protector, obviously this box is made from particle board or something like that. It's so fancy for a screen protector, but I completely forgot that it came with things other than the screen protector. So like it's got 3 screen protectors, and then it comes with a micro SD card reader. You can have a level. But what's even better, and the reason I have to show this to you, is that if you don't want to have this tribble, or you need a level, if you want to put something on top of your camera still, you can have a ladybug. This is so cute. And you know, just for a second. Peak perfection. Is it going? Oh, okay, it is! This is my first time using this thing. Okay, well, hello. Now that we finally have a nice, decent day, I say decent, this is like the best it's gonna get all week. So I wanted to go over and just test out this camera, see how it works, and explain to you why I picked this specific camera. I did a whole rant about Canon stuff, and it seems like even the G7 Mark II, which is, I think it's one of the newest ones, still has focusing problems, judging by the reviews. I've seen people use them and they look fine, but they still appear to have focusing problems, and that's one thing that's driven me mad. And I could have technically just got another camera in about the same price point as my old one that just had better focus, but my problem with that is I didn't want to spend the money on another camera just to do what the old one did, but actually do it correctly, which is why I really started looking out for a 4K camera. But the problem was there's lots of 4K cameras out there that only do 24 FPS. I know lots of people probably wouldn't even notice it, but 30 is the bare minimum for me, so. But there was another thing I wanted to look for when I looked at 4K camera. I found one and I was like, oh, this looks like it'll be good. But then I found out in 4K there's no image stabilization. I think I have a pretty steady hand and I do have a tripod that I use, but so many of my videos are freehand just like this, and if there's not good image stabilization, then that is a big problem and would basically make the 4K absolutely useless. And then the other cameras that might have had the stabilization, it wasn't true 4K because yes, it recorded in 4K, but it used digital image stabilization where it just zoomed in on the image, so not all the pixels were exactly 4K, and at that point, no. But this camera, what it does is it records at a higher than 4K resolution, and then it zooms in and does it. So you're still getting a true 4K image with stabilization. The reason this camera is called the ZV-1 is because it is based on Sony's flagship line, the RX100 series, specifically the Mark V. The Mark V is when the focus got really good, and I was actually considering just purchasing a used Mark V, but the problem with that is it didn't have Sony's current color profiles. I don't really do like color fixing and balancing and editing because frankly, I've tried doing that before and I'm just not good at it. I probably really need to practice that, but my Canon camera had a noticeable, not great set of color profiles. Once again, the automatic camera knows best thing. It had issues, so even if you selected a color profile, it's still allowed to, change it slightly as you're recording. So even though you were sitting there, your light wasn't changing, it might still just change your color profile in the middle of the recording, which is a big problem in my last video that I recorded, at least the time I'm filming this, the video about the Webkinz Next Gen plushies. At the beginning of the video, the color profiles looked great. By the end, it was like so yellow. So I guess that's kind of the basis of what made me pick this camera over any of the others. When I started looking at video reviews and stuff, it was like a no-brainer how good this camera was. There are a couple of drawbacks that I am not too keen on. The first one is actually the flippable screen. Lots of people love these, and I don't blame them. It's gonna be actually pretty nice when I'm doing cooking videos to flip the screen around. Why do I call it a drawback? Well, I have owned cameras before with flippable screens, and granted, they were old cameras, that was a long time ago, and on top of that, they were really cheap cameras. So I don't exactly expect the level of quality in those that I do in this, but flipping the screen in and out is just going to be hard on the wiring, and it's eventually going to just pull a wire loose and render the screen useless. And with the specific camera that I was using, it was a Panasonic camcorder where it flipped out the screen. Anytime it didn't detect the screen on, it would turn itself off, which made the camera completely useless. But even then, if you can't see what you're doing, it's still useless. The other drawback I have, and I completely understand this going in, this camera has overheating problems. You can only really record 4K in about 5-minute bursts before the camera completely overheats. That's one reason that the screen flips out. If you do that, it allows much better cooling for the camera and you can record in 4K longer. I'm not intending to do lots of 4K videos though. I'm thinking I'm only gonna do 4K if it's going to be a small video and for like series and other special video kind of things. My biggest reason for actually saying I'm just gonna do 4K on occasion, despite the fact that I spent the money on a 4K camera, is file size. I think my rendering profiles are too high on my video editor. I'm gonna have to mess with that and see what gives good quality. Now another drawback is I miss a lot of zoom. So this camera, I think it only has like 4x zoom. That's as far as it goes. But there are a few other things. So you might notice how blurry the background is. I can just, hold on. Where's the button? Oh, background to focus was off. I thought it was on. Well, I could either, I could just do this at a click of a button. It gives a much better depth of field. But another thing about this camera is the stupidly fast focus. Okay, so let's set Lisa right here. And then I got the lens cap, so let's see how this works. Just gonna, whoa. Oh, that is fast. And this is why I wanted this camera. Look at that. Look at that. Holy. But probably one of the coolest things, and something I'm not really gonna take advantage of because I have a DSLR, the fact that this thing can shoot in JPEG and RAW files. So that means I can take the files into Photoshop and, excuse me, you noise polluter! This just means I can go into Photoshop and edit with the raw data of the file, and it can make things look so much better. Ha-ha! Nope. It'll support Canon's, but it won't support Sony's RAW format, and figures. The update servers are no longer working because this is a 2019 editor, and silly me for thinking a 2019 editor should get the updates in 2020. Okay, I've done enough gushing. I have to go inside because I have stuff on the stove and I might have already burned it. Pray for my green beans. Anyways, that's all I really have time to do for messing around with this camera right now. So see you in the next one later.